In this video, I'm going to show you how to make an inventor model of Flange 1105. And this is the sketch that we'll be working from. And I want to point out a few important dimensions for you before we get started that we'll be using as we model this. And the first one is the diameter of these large flanges that we have, one at the top and one at the bottom. The diameter for those is 6. The diameter for this smaller cylinder that we see the edge of right here has a diameter of 3. There's a hole that goes through the center that has a diameter of 2. There is a bolt pattern right here that has 6 diameter 0.31 holes equally spaced around 360 degrees, and the bolt pattern is on 4.50 diameter with 60 degrees between each of those holes. And those holes go through the top and the bottom, top and bottom flanges. Then over here on the side, we're going to have another cylinder that has a diameter of 2.5 and that is located 1.75 inches from the center axis of the entire flange, and then is extruded until it comes in contact with this diameter 3 flange. So that creates a saddle shape around right here. And then we have a hole that has, let me see, a diameter of 1.5 that goes all the way through, that has a 0.125 by 0.125 chamfer around the edge of it. All right, the flanges are a 1/2 inch thick on either side. So the way we're going to start this is to draw this profile right here and place a center line, and we're going to use Inventor's revolve command and revolve this profile right here at 360 degrees to create our part. So I'm going to start on a new part, and I want to choose English Standard IPT. I want to make sure that we're not in the metric system on this one, and choose Create. All right, and so the next thing we want to do is, like we usually do, we project geometry, and we project the YZ plane and the XZ plane onto our XY plane. So I'm drawing on my XY plane, and you can see those there. What I'm going to do is go to Tools, go to Application Options, and go to Colors, and change my color from presentation to high contrast. Pick OK. That gives me a black background, and now we can see those two X and Y plane intersections. The YZ and XZ plane, where they intersect with the XY plane. All right, so I'm going to start my sketch over on the side. So I want to start a new sketch. Just start a line out here. I'm going to pick and go straight up. I want to make sure it snaps to be vertical. I'm going to type 4 and press enter for the length of that. And I'm going to go in this direction here. And on these, I'm just going to, now this one actually, I know it's 0.5, so I'm going to do that. And then I'm just going to come in a little ways and come down and pick and go across. Now I can line that up. You can see how that's lining up, and I can bring this guy down. I can also make sure that it lines up as well. There we go, and come into here. Now, if you draw kind of carelessly, you see where that angle's going, you can come over here and choose on your constraint for a vertical constraint, and you can constrain that to be vertical. And you can even use your equal, and you can say, okay, I want you and you to be equal. So since this is 0.5, that one would also be 0.5. And I believe they're already collinear. If we pick on collinear and we pick this line and we pick that line, it tells me that adding this constraint will over constrain the sketch. That's because mine are collinear. If yours aren't, that would make them collinear. All right, so now that we have our just general sketch in there, I've got to draw a construction line. I'm going to pick on line, and I'm going to snap to the origin, and I'm just going to draw a line straight up like this. I'm going to go taller than 4 inches so that it goes beyond. So I've added this line in here, and I'm going to press escape. So I have a line that I've added in here, and there's something important you need to do at this point. You'll pick on that line and you'll come right up here. This is called center line, okay? By picking on that, you turn this into a center line. And when you do that, and you place dimensions on here, if you dimension from the center line to the edge or anywhere, you're going to see that you get what's called a diametric dimension. So the best way is just to show you that. I'm going to pick on dimension. I'm going to choose the center line, and then I'm going to choose on this line out here. And you're going to see that we get this dimension that goes from this side out here into space, and that's called a diametric dimension. And you can see there's a diameter in front of the value that we currently have. The value for that is going to be 6. All right. Another dimension from here to here, bring that up to here. That one is supposed to be 3. And then we need another dimension from our center line to here, and this one we want to be 2. Let me see if we got that in there, 2. All right. So let me drag these up. I'll press escape and drag these up a little bit so we can see what we have here. All right. So those are those diameters I was showing you earlier in the sketch. And so when we go in here and do the revolve command with this profile right here, we're going to end up with all these diameters in there. Now, if you want to put a dimension and check this line right here, it's going to tell you it's over constrained. So that's going to be 0.50, because if you remember earlier, I used the equal constraint, and I said I want this line to equal this line, and I'd already put in a dimension right there. So I'm going to press escape, drag this out here if I can, so put the 4 out there. All right, so we're finished with the sketch. We can choose finish sketch, and then we can come over here and choose the revolve tool. So we pick revolve, and it finds that profile that we just drew. And really the only question is whether we're going to fill a full 360 degrees or not. If I typed 180 there, you can see what it would give me at 180, but I do want this to be 360. So I'm going to press 360. All right. So there's the basic shape, and if I go to the front view, you can see what things look like. Now, in the sketch, there are some, I think there's a note on here about that all these corners that you see, like all these squared off corners, and here and this one here, a lot of those corners actually are filleted 0.125, but the top edge here and the bottom edge down here, there's not a fillet on that. All right, so the next thing I want to do is create that cylinder that is parallel to the center line here, or the center axis, and lays out here 1.75 from the center. So the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to go right up here and find my, let's just do the XY plane, and right click on that over here in the browser and choose. All right, so what we're going to do is pick on offset from plane. We're going to pick this plane that we just made visible and drag it out in this direction and type 1.75 and press enter. And we're going to pick on that plane and right click, and what we want to do is make a new sketch, and we want to draw a circle, and we want to make sure that that circle is exactly on this center line right here. So we can let it snap onto that line and pick and draw out like this if we want, and then we can add a dimension to this. I'm going to go here, we want that to be 2.5. We also need a dimension from the bottom edge to the center, and we need that to be 2. And it's important that this be centered on this center line right here that we have. And at that point we can finish the sketch. And now we're ready to do an extrude, and we want that circle to extrude. We want it to go in this direction, and the distance we want to go is 2, and we want to select this cylinder right there and pick OK. All right, now if we go back and look at our front view, What we want to do next, we can use the hole command. And we just want to come in here and pick a point and then pick on the edge, and that will center it. And the diameter for that hole is 1.5. So it's a simple hole, none there, and we want this to be 1.5. And the depth would be, so we've got here 2, and we probably have to come up here. We would like it to come to that cylinder right there and pick OK. Now, if you want to check and see if that looks okay, you can kind of look over there. You can pick on your revolve. You can see that it's coming through, but it's not going any deeper than that. Okay. All right. So the other thing we need to do is chamfer this edge of this hole right here. So we can pick on chamfer, and we can either have one distance, we can have a distance at an angle, or we can have two distances. And on this one, it just turns out that each distance is 0.125 by 0.125. So we pick the edge, we pick right there, and it's going to chamfer that hole, and then we just pick apply. And at that point, we can close this. So now there's our chamfers in there. We're going to do a new sketch on the top right here, and we're going to line up right here with one of those diameter 0.31 holes. So we're going to, we could do the hole command, or we could do a point center point. So we could do point center point. We could just go along that center line right there and pick. And then for a dimension, we could go from here to our center. And the distance for that, because that bolt pattern right there, it says is 4.5, we can go 4.5 divided by 2. So right here we can put a formula in and then press enter. So of course that comes out to be 2.25, and then we can finish the sketch. All right, because we put a point center point there, we can choose hole, and the diameter of that hole right here should be 0.31. And let's see, we want it to be a simple hole, none right there. Okay, let me take this 0.31, make sure that got some extra things in here. There we go. Let's just go 3.1 now and see what happens. There we go. So it should be a small hole. It goes through all, and the only problem we'll have is when we make a pattern with that, if the hole here goes down and goes through this material that's below it right there. If it goes through and it doesn't go through anything, we'll be okay. So I'm just going to pick okay, and there we go. So there's our first hole. So now we're going to pattern that. We're going to use a circular pattern, and it asks us for the features first. It would be that hole right there. Okay. Then the rotation axis we could pick right here, and we can pick the center axis of that cylinder, or the center axis of this out here, or even the center axis of that. None of those matter, just whichever one you want to do. You can see the holes that it's going to make. We need 6 of those holes, a full 360 degrees, and pick OK. And then I think we need to do that fillet, and the fillet is 0.125. We want that edge, and we want this edge, and we want this edge. And let's click right here. We want this edge, and we want that edge to be filleted. All right, leave everything else is going to be sharp, and we pick OK. And I'm going to turn some of these, I'm going to turn off the visibility. I'm not going to delete that work plane. Go to my other work plane right here and right click and click visibility and turn that off. Now I still have this one on right here. Let's see if we can turn off its visibility. Turn that off and right click and turn off the visibility of this one. Okay, you can kind of see what we have now. And so that hole only comes through part way, and we have our fillets. And at this point, I believe we're finished with this model.